Okay, sorry about that. The other video got kind of interrupted, unfortunately. The timeout thing kicked in, and then bam, the screen. When the screen times out like that, it stops the screen recorder. So anyway, back with part two of the identity thing, whatever I put in the title, because I don't want to go back and look. Anyway, basically from where I had left off, what I was basically saying is that a lot of us are being taught this type of stuff because it works in a flow, right? Now, the same stuff I was talking about before, how people adjust and grow into that false identity thing, how they, adapt to that false personality. You got to understand when those types of people have kids and they settle down, that same behaviorism is taught to the next generation. So we've downgraded into this state of mind to where this has become the norm, and it unfortunately, or should I both unfortunately and fortunately, it's it's grown quite a lot, but at the same time, despite that happening, some of us broke free from it. Some of us saw what was going on and we refused it. It is not to say that we don't love our parents. It's not to say that we didn't listen. It's not to say that we didn't, hear things out when any type of, piece of information or any type of tips or any type of, guidance was given to us. It's not that. It's just that we've learned to use our independence, and we basically just heard this information out, but we never took it seriously. We only just took this, thought it out, analyzed it, and then when we realized what it was and the outcome of it is like, yeah, it's either it did work or didn't work, and that's precisely how it was. Now, some of us have that mindset, and trust me, I believe a lot of people who have a mindset like that who did not develop that whole personality thing, that second personality, a lot of us who are like that are targeted. Now, for me, I almost did fall in line into this. I'm not joking around. I literally almost did. I literally almost did. I used to do a lot of that stuff that happened, and then I started to understood like it just wasn't me. It just was not me at all. Like I'm just wasn't cut out for this, and it just didn't feel natural. It just literally honestly didn't. And so I ended up just going off like something. I don't see like why a person should really go out of their way to gain, the favoritism or the acceptance from a stranger. And then I started to analyze it a bit more, start researching it, and then I started to understand why they do it. They do this because, unfortunately, and this is the truth, when you get parents and you're growing up, you got to understand people have to work in this type of society, so they're not always going to be there. And like when it comes, especially with all the single parent households nowadays, too, there's that as well. So it's at a case to where it's like, it's at a point to where it's like, when you can't get that that attention and that acceptance and stuff like that from your parents, you seek to get that out from somewhere else. I believe this whole thing shifted into people trying to get it from their peers, and we had that going on for so long now. So that's what's been going on for all these years, and because of that, it threw a lot of stuff out of whack. When it comes in, again, the same statement applies even to this. One bad apple spoils the bunch. One bad apple spoils the bunch. Um, I'm pretty sure you can hear that the gang stalkers are kind of getting pissed off, but I could care less. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much been like that for a while now, man. Like a real long while, and we just gotten in a situation where that has just been on a continuous basis, and it hasn't stopped. Fortunately, some of us broke free from this, but that didn't stop them from manipulating with us. Um, man, though, like as far as uh, as far as other things are concerned, man, like this whole this whole thing from what I've seen from as far as like the whole behaviorism with BET and all that stuff from what I've seen when it comes down to like the rapping and stuff like that, it seems like everything that they do is generated towards attention. I'm only using this as an example. I'm just using it as an example. The matching, the attention seeking, and you know something, I also understood that they're influencing a very negative aspect of relationships. Like it's always flirtation towards like multiple different females, by the way. So now if you don't understand what that really is, that promotes bad chemistry with relationships. You want to know why? Because here's the deal. If you are constantly, and this applies to the females too, if you're constantly chasing around a bunch of people like that, not saying everybody does, not saying every guy does it, not saying every female does it, but when you got someone who does that, you got to understand a person that, that grows into an addiction. So when you become addicted to that, you got to understand you're still getting old. You're not going to be able to do that when you get older. You're not going to be able to do that at all, man. Like at all. So when you have that addiction, and trust me, and honestly, I've seen this in my own dad, in my own father, and I'm basically speaking this off from a witness point of view. And in his case, he ended up in a situation, two situations, to where he couldn't even do that no more. And trust me, he was miserable as hell. So much so that he nearly ended up coming at me with a knife. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hatred behind a life choice like that, man. There's a lot of hate that gets developed just because of that, because they can't do what they used to do anymore. Some of them will end up in a relationship at the end, some of them don't. But both sides to that are miserable as hell. Both of them are. And it's because, man, like whatever they did with, or whatever they're doing with the person they with, it's gonna grow stale to them. Because first off, weren't they weren't generally trying to get to know a relationship and trying to manifest it into something better. They didn't learn how to adapt with it. They only learn to adapt from it. So they'll establish it, they'll get what they want, and they do this from a selfish perspective. And they'll pretty much get in there for either money, sex, or just favoritism. They'll show it off a little bit, and that's it. And then bam, they're done. They'll leave, and then they'll go, or even they'll stay with that person and actually will go off and have another connection. So they cheat themselves out of a genuine connection, and they cheat they cheat on the person they with another. This is what I mean by people hiding behind a mask. They don't truly know themselves, so they can't have that genuine connection with others. It's impossible, because if you don't know yourself, you're gonna end up constantly guessing at what works and what doesn't. Because at the same time, you're gonna still be trying to use the same acts as basically of acceptance towards other people. You're gonna keep playing the whole role of favoritism, and in the end, you're gonna lose to that, man. You're gonna lose to that every time. And it may seem, and trust me, like they brag about a lot of this, they really do, but it's really I'm gonna be honest, that's really nothing to brag about. It really isn't. It really isn't. And sorry about that, I had to check the battery percentage, but it really is nothing to brag about, man. It honestly isn't. Same thing with money. The thing about money, hey man, like let me tell you, like this, it is so crazy. You know, I can't remember the guy's YouTube channel. I don't know if it was Tommy Sotomayor. I don't know, but here's the thing. But now, as for Tommy Sotomayor, look, man, he does make some decent points, but he doesn't really offer Like this one thing of pointing it out, but if you don't have any solutions to that, that's a whole nother situation, man. You can't just point something out and not have solutions. You got to have solutions towards the problems you point out. Otherwise, you're just, playing the blame game. And that's coming from an honest perspective on that. Yeah, man, like that's just the low down truth of this. Like people cheat themselves out of a genuine relationship when it comes to this, and some of us are fortunate enough to actually see that, and we don't go down that path. And I believe that secretly people hate us because of this. I always knew something was off. Like it was something I just couldn't see. And it's like people just was acting as if like they would have this mentality saying like you think you're better than me. And I'm like, if I thought that, I wouldn't think it, I would just say it. But I don't think myself like that. I don't worry about who's better than who. I don't waste my time doing that, man. And no one else should do that either. Like, no one should. Because if you're spending all that time worrying about who's better than who, how are you ever going to have time to work on yourself and improve your own flaws? And the truth about that is you won't, because you'll be too busy worrying about other people. And that's another thing, is cheating yourself out of life. So when it comes to these perps, the whole aspect of their life is you, the targeted individual. That's it. That is it. There's nothing more, nothing less. That, when they get old, if they ever become old, because this is a dangerous game they're playing when they do this, a very dangerous one. I'm not kidding. This could get them locked up. It could get them in prison. It could get them killed, anything like that. I'm not condoning violence. I'm not condoning or influencing, murder in any way or any type of harm to anyone. This is just as an example, basically. Nothing more, nothing less. And like I said, it's a dangerous game they're playing. So even if they do get to the point where they grow old, right, they're gonna have to look back at this. And can you imagine how shitty that would be? To look back at a life that you just cheated yourself out of for money. You didn't live the life you wanted to live for your own sake. You lived it for other, basically on a 24/7 basis, labeled onto another person's life. So you technically didn't live your life. And that's a whole, like 7 and 80 years wasted of nothing but constant stalking. I would really think it's really effed up for a person to grow old and, sit down with their grandkids and tell them, and have to literally tell them like what they did throughout their life. That would be really effed up. Like, oh yeah, well, like I was hired by this organization to just stalk random folks every now and then. Oh man, a person like that, they don't have a life because they don't. It's set up to where they don't live their own lives. And for the few of us who know how to live our lives, they're envious of us because we have strength that they lack. Or it's not even that they lack. It's just that they just gave up. They just told themselves, no, this is just not gonna work. They gave up, and then they see that we just take this whole crap and this whole mess in stride, and we literally become stronger from it and learn more from it, and we're able to outdo the obstacles that they gave up trying to maneuver around and complete. They grow envious of us because of this. They gave up, and they see that we didn't, and we're succeeding, and they want to tear us down. This doesn't just apply. The whole Crabs in a Barrel Act doesn't just apply to black folks, man. It applies to everybody. It applies to everyone. It's just the same thing applies to everybody. When they see a person that they don't like succeeding, they want to tear them down, instead of learning from their own mistakes and actually achieving success for themselves, to try to figure out what they can do to succeed in life. Instead, they want to be focused out on other people and what's going on in that person's life. What's that person doing? Who's that person dating? What's that person playing? Are they asleep? Are they awake? Are they outside? Are they not outside? This is a gang stalker's life 24/7. That's it. they're not gonna have an enjoyable life to look back on, man. They're not. And the thing is, that's it. Their whole life, or whatever left, whatever's left of it, is revolved around you, the targeted individual. That's it. And oh man, if you escape, and they cannot find you at all, they can't make money off of you anymore. They can't. How are you going to make money off a target who you're supposed to keep tabs on if the target's not present? And if you don't know the whereabouts or location of the target? Understand deception is key to this. Disguises can work on all that stuff if you know how to really maneuver around this stuff. But you got to understand, we are being like surveyed around with a lot of stuff. I am not joking. They're implementing Big Brother cameras everywhere. The Big Brother cameras are connected not only to just the the establishment that uses them, but also to the neural network of the Central Intelligence Agency, so they can access that stuff whenever they want. If that's not bad enough, you got Google's vehicles all over the place, and you have they don't even have labels to literally let you know that that's a Google brand vehicle. If you want to know what the Google brand vehicles are doing, they are driving around, snapping photos of the areas that they are driving around in. This is everywhere. It's not just that. They got the drones out there in the skies, also basically taking video footage as well as snapshots of visuals too. And if it isn't just that, it's the satellites as well. All it is connected to the satellites, connected to the computers that they use, as well as their cell phones. This is how they're able to keep track of us all the time when you're not chipped. And if they're not using that, then they got the street patrol, which I like to call they got foot patrols, they got drive patrols, and they got aerial patrols. The foot patrols are the gang stalkers who walk everywhere. The drive patrols are the perps who are in cars, waiting in lots and stuff like that. And the aerial patrols are the choppers that show up. Now, they would be stupid to use choppers like that, because first off, that's got an identification number. And sorry about that, I just dropped this thing. And that will actually show you precisely where it came from, because these things are stationed in places. So you got to understand, first off, why was it called out there? For what reason? And what was the occasion? Because it costs a lot of money to send a chopper, or even especially a plane, out to a random location. That costs a lot of money. That fuel is not cheap. It is expensive, and the salary of these people's paychecks are insane. So they had to have a pretty damn good reason to send a chopper out to a random location. They had to have a pretty good damn reason to do that. Now, if you've seen the Joker movie that came out, their excuse was we don't want people to we don't want people to get hurt, so they had officers everywhere. Let me tell you about the truth behind that, man. Joker was, if you've seen the movie, then you know he was enduring a lot of BS. A lot. From being set up at work, from being treated like scum on the street by random people, by being jumped by a bunch of kids, a bunch of misbehaved, ill-gotten teenagers, right? He got beat up, and he had a condition. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't necessarily laughing at what they were doing. It was his condition. It was his disability that caused him to laugh like that. And he still got beat up for it because of a misunderstanding. Because they choose not to understand that of which they don't understand. And that's the problem with society, too. You see, they hate that of which they can't understand, and they refuse to even try to even make the attempt to understand what they don't understand. And we get that problem. That's been a problem within society for generations, man. A big problem. So eventually, he ends up finding out what happened with his mother and all that. I'm not gonna spoil it for people who don't know, but he finds out a whole bunch of stuff, and he starts to see why society now understand. He's seeing the corruption from trying to be an upstanding citizen's point of view to seeing that even the people who he idolized and the people who seemed nice were just full of BS. And in our situation, as far as the targeted individuals situation, it's the same thing. Now, you want to know the real reason why they had all those cops there at that theater? It's because of the message that movie sent. It's because of the message that movie sent, and it's because they didn't want people. They wanted to have a stasis of control, but as you can see, the message in that movie was enough to really scare the heck out of them. If you haven't seen, they had this all over the news. They had it almost just about at every movie theater. They had street police patrolled everywhere, man. Even while this was going on, right? Now, I ended up going to this is before my aunt got targeted. I ended up going to go see that movie with both my aunt and her boyfriend, right? And I was still being gang stalked even during that time. Even during then, I was still being gang stalked. They didn't know about the whole McDonald's thing. They didn't know about any of that. I don't think they did know. I really don't know. Don't think they did know. And I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to eat from there. And if you're wondering, that's the same McDonald's that that incident took place at. The same one. And for people who don't know, the just about everyone who's working in that damn McDonald's is a perp. All of them are. They're all being paid under the table to do this ill-begotten stuff. So honestly, if you're a targeted individual, this is my genuine tip off to you. Please, if you value your life, if you truly do not eat at a fast food place. Don't, because they lace nano in that food. They're underhandedly paid to do this. Stop eating fast food places. The only place I would probably suggest for you to go is somewhere where you can actually watch them as they're doing it. But the problem with that is, like, they like to lace their hands with nano. They like to do that. So even if you go to somewhere where you could watch them, even if they got gloves on, still doing it, it's not gonna make a difference. It's not. That's just how bad it is. Because they could have someone shoot out there to that location before you even get there. But the only benefit is that it's like if you got shielding. Now here's the problem, especially when you're being hit with direct energy weapons. If you're going, especially with the hacking, you gotta understand they are infiltrating your neurons. They're trying to find out what you're thinking, and if they get that thought that you're gonna go to a specific restaurant, they're gonna send someone out there before you even reach there, and they're gonna have them lace your food with nano. It's gonna be the same thing when you try to look it up on your phone to find its location. They're already gonna send a perp out there to do that, and that's just precisely what's gonna happen. Or they're gonna try, but they're not just gonna do that to just any random person though. Like they'll kind of butter up the situation before you get there. And this is why they don't want you interfering when they try to recruit somebody for their shit. They don't. And trust me, I'm a witness to this because I've realized this. I noticed that they were trying to recruit this one dude at Walmart, and what I ended up doing was I played the video, right? The video of explanation as to gang stalking and all that stuff. It explained everything as to what it was. They didn't like it, and they hated it. And as soon as I walked over to where that guy, where they kind of guided that guy over to, they're saying, no, come back over here, come back over here, go ahead and get your money order. Now, the entire time that happened, they were effing with me with the line, trying to make it seem like no one was there, and it was already time for that place to be open, right? So they like to do little petty games like that, and I just use that as an opportunity to basically spread awareness. So, I mean, it's no sweat off my situation. I just use that as an opportunity to spread awareness, and they do not like it. Because first off, anybody who is not involved with this organization can walk through that door. Knowing it, the full length of what's going on and compared to what they're doing, you got to understand, gang stalkers do not trust one another. They absolutely do not trust one another. This includes family, this includes friends, this includes all of that. They don't, because you got to understand, they're all, remember back when I said, people are living a life behind a mask. They're living a life with a false personality, not the real personality. So I say it again. Gang stalkers do not trust one another. They don't, because first off, you see how it is. If you can piss someone off with something as petty as as something with the trust me, you've seen very very petty situations as far as misunderstandings and stuff, and you've seen how these people get, if you can even call them people anymore. You see how they get. So you gotta understand, like, when you have a whole bunch of them collaborated like that, they tend to get petty of themselves as well. So it's only a matter of time before they end up pissing one another off, and then bam, that's all it took. Now one of the people who used to be a gang stalker is now a TI, and this is just my point of view on this, to what I think what it's like and stuff like that. Now I don't know what everything that they're doing behind closed doors, but information gets leaked from the people who have been in there involved with this organization, and they start to understand what it really is. And I believe, like, when they do open up and talk about it, I believe when they do this, they start to understand, something, man, like, regardless, regardless, in the end, we're all gonna die anyway, man. All of us are all gonna end up dead at some point in time. And you gotta understand, you gotta look at life as a trial, not as a permanent stasis of anything. Trust me, a life of immortality is torture. It's torture. I don't know, because I'm not immortal or anything like that, but a constant stasis of undying, that's a terrible state. Because understand the laws and causality of space, and understand that the core within the earth, underneath the earth's crust, is going to collapse at some point in time. No offense, I don't want to be living forever when that happens, and I don't think anybody else does. But we're getting further and further into a time that's becoming more and more dangerous and unstable as the days go by. Like, the scientists nowadays are messing around with black matter. And if you don't know what that stuff, I mean, not black matter, but dark matter. And if you don't know what that is, that's a type of energy that is known to be related to black holes. So they're messing. You already know there's several catastrophes that happen with these scientists and stuff, right? Even when they try to say, oh, well, like, there was an outbreak here, that's field testing. There was no outbreak. They intentionally released this toxins out onto the public. That's precisely what it was. They use this stuff for field testing. The same thing with the virus that's out there now. It's the exact same thing. It's nothing but field testing. That's all that it is. Nothing more, nothing less. As far as anything else is concerned, man, like, look, with all the stuff that we have out here, as far as technology has advanced, there's no way in hell they don't have any line of containment technology for this stuff. There's no way they don't. And I'm gonna go right back and say it, man. Like, again, gang stalkers do not trust one another. They're afraid to be being put on the list. They're afraid of becoming the next target. They're afraid of this. They truly are, man. They are truly are. They don't generally get along with one another, because first off, this stuff, again, this whole nature of how society is being portrayed is based off of favoritism. So there's gonna be some people, and I personally witnessed this myself when it comes right down to it. Like, as soon as one of them will walk out of a room or is not present during that current day, right, and it's around the group that you normally hang out with, they will start talking mad garbage about that same person who is absent. So that's why I'm saying, like, again, gang stalkers do not trust one another. Some of these gang stalkers are naive to think that, oh, like, they're in the fold, they're in the clique, they're all okay and all that type of stuff. Wrong. That's not it, man. And I just never allowed myself to be absorbed into that, because I know what these types of people are. I know that there's no good coming from them. I know that and this isn't just This applies to almost a group within every race when it comes to peer pressure. By the way, I know how that stuff is, man, and it's no joke. It's a very crazy situation, and I just as soon as I saw how stuff was, I'm like, you know what, man, like, It's like they'll, and this is exactly why I say why they hide behind a mask. They'll talk one way in front of you, but behind your back, it's a whole nother situation. And there's one song that I love the most that definitely expressed this to the best of its ability. I can't remember it's. I believe they call it. The song was called "The Backstabbers." They smile in your face, all the while they try to take your place. The Backstabbers. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and end this vid because it's almost 8 o'clock. Anyway, I send both my love, my prayers out to all of you. Remember, stay safe, stay strong. I'm still gonna be posting more stuff on the guide channel. Um, I'm still currently working on some things, but yeah, again, stay safe, stay strong, and remember, always keep fighting the good fight. And